the speed with which things are going to get introduced as we go forward is going to just continue to accelerate. The one benefit that I will say to this is that in a world that grows, in a world that's financially successful, there's always capital. There's always capacity. I think what we all need to do is to understand, to me, it's more around doing the homework you can, engaging in different ways with academics, with industrialists, et cetera, to understand their interpretation of likely outcomes. I think the challenge in a lot of these things is to understand aggregation. So in the risk business, you need to be able to understand how much exposure do I have to an event or to a technology or to an outcome, right? And globally, where regulators get involved, is how much global exposure is there to these things. I fear, for example, that cyber, if we're not careful, is the next asbestos, right, to the insurance industry, because the way in which state actors perform, right, it is their intent to destabilize. It is their intent to have significant, territorial or even global implications. And so part of the challenge is not so much about getting the individual risk selection right. It's understanding how the aggregate exposure of that risk on a grander scale, whether it be across different locations, across different organizations, across different behavioral traits, et cetera. Understanding that, and that's where some of these new technology capabilities around data amalgamation and unstructured data combinations can be meaningful. That's really where the ultimate bet gets made. How much are you putting on the table here to defend this? Individual cases, you hit some, you miss some. You want to hit more than you miss, and you want to hit more bigger than you lose at the same time. But I think you do as much modeling as you can. You do as much attempting to draw analogies to similar types of situations historically, and you get smart people around the room and say, "What if?" That doesn't sound terribly scientific, right? But I think at the same time, the truth is that there's a little bit of a gamble in this. And insurance is always a little bit about a gamble. You're insuring against a potential downside outcome. It doesn't happen a lot. When it does, how big is it when it happens, right? And understanding that is not new, right? That's stuff that we're pretty good at, right? So it's really about trying to look at the worst case scenarios, understand the exposure in those worst case scenarios, and how well you've protected yourself from it. I think we will, with just a little bit more time, find that there's some pretty darn good AI ability out there to be able to help, anticipate and divert or correct around how protection can take place. I think it becomes more dynamic, I guess is what I'm saying. I believe that insurance is not a reactive thing going forward. It's a dynamic thing going forward. And so when we look to this in the future, we need to be creative and innovative around how we understand how risk evolves and how people don't take a static view to that, but they take a dynamic view to it.